Black prosecutors matter. Yeah, I said it. And while it's not always the most popular thing to say in the black community, it's a stark reality that impacts black Americans in the criminal justice system more than any other single aspect. Now, sure, today everybody is cheering for Fulton County prosecutor Fani Willis because she just indicted Donald Trump, his fourth one if you're counting. But I didn't hear those same rallying cries of support when this same black woman made headlines for prosecuting Young Thug and company. So it's important that as a culture we keep the same energy, because while we might not always like the prosecution of some people, demonizing all black prosecutors is not the answer. Now, I say this based on my lived experience as a criminal defense lawyer. Now, as such, I enjoyed a relative hero status during my years as defense counsel. You know, the culture praised my efforts. They saw me and other defense lawyers as fighting the good fight and following the esteemed legacy of the single greatest black lawyer, probably of any generation, the late, great Johnnie Cochran. The culture has always gone up for Brother Johnny, right? He's the most famous black attorney representing black men that the culture felt were generally wrongfully attacked and demonized by racist white folk that really, sought to bring these brothers to their knees with trumped up charges. And several folks even called them modern-day lynchings. Now, those were certainly the sentiments that I remember hearing as a kid when Johnnie Cochran became Black America's hero through his stellar defenses of Michael Jackson and, yes, O.J. Simpson. Y'all, we revered Attorney Johnnie Cochran, so much so that most of us pretended that we didn't even believe O.J. did it. When in actuality, we knew O.J. did it. But it wasn't about him, right? We loved watching Johnnie Cochran beat Marcia Clark and especially the other brother, Christopher Darden. Now, let's spend a little time on the Christopher Darden and Johnnie Cochran of it all. Two black men, both educated and successful attorneys at the top of their respective games. But to black America, one was good and the other was evil. But here's the problem with that oversimplified analysis. Do y'all know what Johnnie Cochran did before he became the legendary criminal defense attorney we all know and love? He was a prosecutor. In fact, he was a prosecutor in the very same office that Chris Darden and Marcia Clark were in, Los Angeles County. So does Johnnie Cochran become less of a hero all of a sudden because he too at one time was a black prosecutor? I don't think so. In fact, I know so. You see, the relationships that Johnnie Cochran built during his time as a prosecutor, the trial strategies, the witness preparation, amongst the other skills that you gain by doing that type of work, it helps him become the iconic lawyer we know and love today. And the other T is that black folks are not always the defendants in court. Sometimes we're the victims. And it's the prosecutor that can help us seek that type of justice. They're the ones that deem the nature of the charges, whether or not to convene a grand jury like we just saw Fani Willis do in Trump's case. They're the ones that decide if self-defense will be applicable at trial, if there's a plea bargain to be made, whether or not a defendant will be tried as a juvenile, et cetera, et cetera. And again, black folks are not always the defendants. Sometimes we're the victims. Black people are seeking justice through the hands of these district attorneys. Most obviously and recently, we're talking about George Floyd, right? Where a white officer put his knee on this black man's neck for 9.5 minutes, and he killed him. And if Mr. Floyd's family, the black community, and America was going to get justice, you know who it was going to go through? The black prosecutor of Minnesota, Attorney General Keith Ellison, a black man. So listen, the next time you or yours feel the urge to disparage or degrade a black prosecutor, I just want you to take a beat and remember that if we want black women like Fani Willis to continue to be able to hold people like Donald Trump accountable, we better consistently make the space for black lawyers to be career prosecutors and also remain supported by the culture.